Today we're interviewing Matt Smidt of Denver Public Schools. One of Matt's responsibilities is preventative maintenance, which is an important tool of the IPM program. Even with all his tools and staff, his favorite tool is education. His key message is, education is better than any pesticide ever invented. The Denver Public School District is one of the leading districts in adopting School IPM in the state of Colorado. If you have pest problems in your school, from bed bugs to mice to cockroaches, don't ignore them. As Matt says, one of the biggest mistakes people make is to put their heads in the sand and not address the pest issues. If you don't address the pests, they'll thrive and get worse. In his interview, Matt tells us how the implementation of Integrated Pest Management has made the schools and the Denver Public School system healthier, safer, and more productive for students and staff. We're grateful to Matt for sharing some of his IPM insight with us.
Training videos developed in cooperation with the Colorado Coalition for School IPM.
Good morning, Matt. Can you begin by giving us a brief history of your transition to IPM?
Well, we got started with the IPM. We're aware of the IPM process and the principles and stuff. But we got involved in a pilot program the EPA was doing at one of our schools, Ebert Elementary School. And we really teamed up with people with EPA and the folks they invited to that, and it just kind of grew from there.
Okay. Can you tell us briefly some of your initial challenges as you got the program started?
Yeah, so immediately we discovered the initial challenges is informing people about IPM, Integrated Pest Management, and how it works, and getting them involved in it, and the culture change involved in using IPM.
Tell us a little bit about how IPM has changed your use of pesticides.
Well, in classrooms we'll just use crack and crevice spraying, and that's mainly for ant control and roach control. And so students, it's never in a contact area for students. In the past, they used to demand we sprayed whenever there was a head lice. A lot of times they wanted it sprayed. So that's one thing we're able to eliminate through IPM is there's no use spraying for head lice.
Yeah.
So that's a big one, because that caused them, they would have to vacuum and shampoo the carpet afterwards. So it's very labor intensive, and besides being pointless.
Yeah, sure. Let's talk a little bit about the leadership in your organization. How knowledgeable, and starting from top to bottom, how knowledgeable are they at this point with the IPM program that you have in place at DPS?
Well, they're pretty knowledgeable as far as a high level type thing, and we get a lot of support from our upper management in facilities. You know, they know the concepts and the basic principles. You know, they don't know all the details of pest management that a pest control technician knows. They don't need to know that particularly. But just that they know the effectiveness and the high level view of it, you know.
So they have the big picture,
they have the big
overview of why you're doing it and why it's important.
Yep, and then I keep them informed, and that keeps them informed.
So from a support standpoint, it sounds like you've got a pretty good level of support throughout the organization from a leadership perspective.
Yes, I do, yeah.
Would you say that's kind of a key element of your successes, is having that support?
It is. It's definitely required. You got to have the support from your people above you. And they allow us to participate in the School IPM coalition, you know, at a pretty high level, and they recognize the benefits of that, helping other school districts too. So
okay,
that's also benefited our school district. One of the success things for DPS was, you know, utilizing all the resources available, you know, which EPA is one of the big resources. A lot of people consider EPA a big brother type organization that's going to look over your shoulder and try to catch you doing something wrong. We're actually there put in place for our protection and as a resource for us, and that has been I recognize that as a big resource. EPA working in coordinating with the universities and other school districts. So it's all the players together.
Let's talk a little bit about your credentials, your background, and rolling into the position you rolled into here at BPS. Share with us a little bit about that.
Well, my background is mainly in mechanical equipment, boilers and chillers, building air conditioning systems. And so one of my other responsibilities is preventive maintenance for all the equipment at Denver schools.
Okay.
And then this just came, they were reorganizing departments, and the director asked me if I was willing to take on pest management. And it's one of those questions where you just might as well answer yes, because you're going to get it anyway. So I took it on, and it turned out to be very educational and challenging, and I really had a good time learning about pests and pest management. It's really interesting.
Now, your support system, I think you've got a few certified people aboard as well as part of your program.
Yep, 2 full-time pest management technicians.
Okay.
And both guys are certified, I guess they call it qualified supervisors. They have a qualified supervisor license with the Department of Agriculture.
Talk a little bit about when you needed to educate folks on what's going on with the program, how you approach that.
Well, education is a big thing in IPM, and it's really effective. People just don't know about the habits of the pests, mice, roaches, bed bugs. So they just know what they've grown up hearing, whether it's actual factual data or not. So when we get a chance to present to a school faculty or a group of facility managers, we always take the opportunity, and just giving them that knowledge is what makes IPM successful. It removes the element of fear. It creates an organizational way to react to things so that we can react in a calm and orderly fashion and find a way to resolve the situation. You know. That's what's best about educating people about IPM.
So you would say that's a pretty important part of the program overall, and it sounds like you spent quite a little time getting folks to that level, you know, as you move forward.
Yeah, it's one of the most, it's better than any pesticide ever invented. For sure. Yeah, whenever we get the opportunity to do that, we'll take advantage of it.
Okay.
The sad part is a lot of schools are so busy because they're focused on high test scores or increasing test scores or increasing literacy and all that, and their schedules are so full it's hard to get time with them.
Do you have any tips on how we could encourage the principals to be cognizant of pest management? It seems like it's a hard group to reach.
Well, they have to get it from, because they set their own priorities. And the way school districts are now, there's huge incentives for increased scores,
right,
and all that, and some monetary issues with principals, and some principals make a substantial amount of bonuses and stuff like that. So of course that's going to be their main focus, is driving that stake into the ground. So to me, it has to be above their level, it has to come down from above their level.
Yeah, we're talking about some of those cultural changes that you needed to deal with and how you manage that process.
Yeah, people, teachers, custodial staff, lunch ladies, they just don't realize that a lot of clutter is going to be a harborage place for mice and insects, you know, and so just meeting with them, training with them, and showing them proper storage for that, and it just makes a big difference.
So from a proper storage perspective, in an IPM program, what would that look like?
No, you'd see all their big storage bins for their paper materials, plastic bins for food, snacks, things with tight-fitting lids. Same thing in the kitchens. All their dry goods, instead of just on the shelf, they're in storage containers.
Okay.
In the mop closets, they have all the mops hung from pegs where they're not on the floor. That helps a lot, keeping insects from nesting in there. Roaches love to nest in a nice damp mop that's leaning against the corner in the mop closet,
Sure. Now, given the fact that a lot of the schools are having meals in classrooms these days, how has that impacted your IPM efforts in the school or at this point?
Well, one of the great things about that, I'm glad you asked that, because since we've trained with the lunch people, lunch supervisors, they know about IPM, and they incorporated in their program, a method for the lunch ladies. They deliver the food in the morning, and they pick it up later, and they remove all the food stuff. It's all put in waste bags, and so it's all removed out of the classroom every day. So the only thing that ends up is a few crumbs or something that's cleaned up at the end of the day by the custodians, hopefully. And then, so in short, we haven't really seen an increase in pest problems due to snacks in classrooms, just because
you have
people are aware of IPM. Yeah, they have the sanitation practice.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Sure. Is there, from your perspective, if you had to say to an audience of facility managers out there, your overview of IPM and why it's beneficial for the DPS district, could you give us just a feel of what that would sound like?
Well, just the importance of it is keeping the buildings free from pests, just following the policies and procedures, and very simple protocols and everything. I don't know.
Can you give us a success story?
A success story? Yeah, I can. Hand me that magazine right there, if you would. This is a magazine that comes out in Denver. It's in other areas too. Westward. When we first got started in IPM, somehow they heard about it, and they interviewed me and one of the other guys, Carl Wilson. He works for an extension office. So it was just a success story. Eber Elementary.
We appreciate your comments. You mentioned the coalition and how much you gained from that relationship. And the other side of the coin is the coalition has gained a tremendous amount from the relationship of having folks like yourself who are actively on the ground in the school systems and contributing the insight from your day-to-day back out to the coalition. So I think that's a two-way street there, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one benefits the other, for sure.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The Colorado Coalition for School IPM would like to thank Matt Smidt and the Denver Public Schools for their dedication and passion for integrated pest management.